heads up, and this is the intro to the show right here. If anybody is turning this on because they are a fan or a believer in Seth, this is not your episode. Please don't take time to get more and more offended. I have very strong opinions that are not positive about the whole situation. And hey, if it worked out well for you and you've had a great life and it benefited you well, I'm happy for you. But in terms of encouraging it, can't do it. So this is your warning right now. I didn't see you there.
It all started early this morning.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot, UFOs, cryptids, true crime, paranormal, and more.
I've always wanted to see a UFO.
Oh, I was researching for your entertainment.
That's Bigfoot scat.
He basically wrote the book on Monarch.
We aren't really comedians.
What if Buddha did cocaine?
The Addams Family on meth. This is the Black Cat Report.
See you on the other side.
Here.
I like the warning. Yeah.
I have strong opinions too, just personal opinions.
Yeah.
Not necessarily about New Age.
I'll say my opinions are pretty weak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 114 of the Black Cat Report. My name is Gil, and joining me today is the only man who ever got kicked out of Culpeper, Virginia as Build-A-Bear for taking the name literally after he read Frankenstein and brought his own parts. Joey.
You know, those poor bears, honestly. I mean, I guess I found them along the Shenandoah Parkway, so it was kind of like Skyline Drive. So they're already kind of dead. So it was much easier to sew them on because I didn't have to fight them. And I felt like if I had to fight them, it would have been better for like looks, because I'd kill a bunch of bears barehandedly, But I did feel bad for those bears, man. When people hit bears with cars, it's just so sad. I just felt like I had
Bicycles.
to do good, right? Bicycles, yeah. Battlestar Galactica, but that was really sad.
This is a little bit like, I feel like we're kind of already starting off with a scoop. Like Robert Kennedy. There's that full story that comes out. They don't talk about the stops that he made after he picked up the bear before he ditched it. The fact that you were in the driver's seat and you guys went to Build-A-Bear.
It was really sad because I didn't want to talk about it. I was really sad to talk about it. He was very excited to talk about it, and
TMZ wrote you a blank check, just handed it to you, and you're like, I am so sad about this. This is terrible.
Yeah, I donated it to the Barely Alive charity.
How do you do it? Oh my God.
All right. Well,
it's a talent. It's a talent.
Well,
haven't done it in a while.
This is why we're having a warm-up episode. Now, to help us get back into the swing of things after we were nearly swung off the flat earth by a hurricane here in Asheville, we decided to do a different kind of episode, a different format. While usually we deep dive and dig into topics, this week we're going to be taking a more relaxed, round table-like approach. So if this is your first time tuning in and you find yourself loving the topic, but not so much the style, then seriously, go back. You can cherry pick any of our past episodes and give it another try. And for anybody who is a longtime listener, hello, and let us know if you like the direction of this format, if there's aspects you like, if there's things that you don't like, if you're like, dear God, when will you be back to normal? Because honestly, if you're saying that, it's going to make us feel better because we think the same thing. Well, as for what happened to us for the past few weeks after being hit by Hurricane Helene here in Western North Carolina, we've got something in the works to share our experiences with y'all. But to be quite honest, right now, we just want to ease back into BCR and talk / think / focus on something else. We just want to get back into a routine and have a lighthearted topic and kind of not fucking talk about it intensely for once. So in that spirit, to help us dine on this delicious and delusional word salad I've picked for this week is our very good friend, fellow co-host, Beer, Booze, and Boogeyman, the host of Paranorm Girl podcast, Kristen.
Oh, damn. That was a severe right turn. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you.
What an intro.
Well,
I
that
was
was
gonna
quite the intro.
lift
Thank
up
you.
my shirt and show my Paranorm Girl podcast tattoo, but
Yeah.
not there yet. It's not finished. It's almost done.
Yeah.
I understand, so long as you're working on it.
Yeah, I'm
and
working on it. Yeah,
You know, I don't expect much, but
you expect that. I was
I do.
admonished for our Parapalooza episode because I did not have a
Whoa.
Beer, Booze, and Boogeyman tattoo or a single tattoo yet. So Kristen wholeheartedly drew a tattoo for me of herself and her Paranormal podcast, and it is, working through on my chest. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it's coming along, though. Yeah.
it is.
I
yeah.
like that. Honestly, I like the first draft you did where it was just a photo of you pointing to a piece of paper that said, get a tattoo. And like to get... I was a fan. Thought that would be...
Wait till you see the second draft. It's even better.
It's going to
Yeah.
blow your mind.
More bears.
Mhm. Lots more. Oh, my God. It's mostly bears.
It's almost all bears. Yeah. Bear with me, guys. Come on.
Can't stop, won't stop. Now,
Never stop, never stopping.
Now, for today's episode, we'll be covering the strange and potentially schizophrenic origins of what is now called the New Age movement or New Age spirituality. And I'm going to be point blank with my personal opinion about New Age spirituality. Okay, again, this is another warning. We will be making fun of shit. If you don't like that, please go somewhere else. Well, like any beliefs or spiritual practices, 99% of folks don't follow the teachings to the letter. So to be clear, I'm not knocking the whole of those that dabble or identify with New Agey beliefs, but like with any religion, belief or faith, belief or faith-based practices, the extremes are problematic, and the fundamentalists preaching and pushing them are fucking morons. And for one of these morons, the best time to spring up from the far corners of the fringe and graduate from practicing believer to professional spiritual leader is right at the start of a growing trend, like Jane Roberts, who went on to become a key founder and the philosophical architect behind so many New Age beliefs and practices after spending a few years bouncing around between Eastern and indigenous belief systems, like she was walking between stages at a music festival, just kind of, popping her head in over here, listening to a couple songs, popping her head into the next spot, listening to a couple songs, like not actually hearing enough of anybody, and it's completely random, the kind of stuff that she is picking up, but she's forming an opinion, and she's about to do something with it. Well, there is nothing at all wrong with what a listener in that situation or somebody that's just checking out different religious practices would be doing, where they're just kind of like, I'm trying to find what's right for me, what connects, what resonates. There's nothing at all wrong with that. There is something wrong with going home and playing that religious mixtape to a group of followers who you convince that you're in contact with a higher astral entity that's introducing a new belief system into the world. That's where it gets a little bit like, this is a good thing. Or to keep the music metaphor going back to a bunch of folks and being like, I wrote all these songs, and like starting to play it for them like really fucking bad and out of tune, and you don't remember half the fucking words and you're just yada-yadaing through things. That's basically what she did.
I mean, to be fair, I've done that many, many times. And sometimes at shows, I've wrote this song, and I'm like, what the fuck is my lyrics? I'm trying to remember the verse, so I'm overextending the musical lines just to get back into it, and then I don't remember it, so I just switch the song and be like, cool, just flipping into the medley of my originals.
Yeah, that's normally around the time. Well, this is why I always have to go to Joey's shows. Taps on a part of his body because he knows where I've tattooed all of his lyrics on my body, and so like I'll just start taking shit. There's a few songs I have gotten public indecency or public exposure tickets for. But got you, buddy.
I
I'll be
appreciate
there
it.
for
Yeah,
you.
it's what friends are for.
No, but seriously though, she cherry-picked a few things after skimming through the beliefs of world cultures that she did not understand, then became the fundamentalist leader by preaching to folks, who then went on to cherry-pick parts that they liked from her lessons, and to make all these random, complex parts of different beliefs fit together and kind of, fill in all those finer details. And to have this and to make all these random, complex parts of different beliefs fit together and fill in all those finer details, and to have this new philosophy make sense, Jane taught her followers how she was making shit up. You see, Jane was the one who coined the phrase, "You create your own reality." That was her, or Seth, you'll find out. Which, among other things, that phrase, repeating that phrase over and over and over again, "You create your own reality," became the term and the practice of manifestation, the New Age word for faith. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Ugh.
We all know somebody or are somebody, or this is the point. This is the moment where that shit happened. And not that long ago, honestly.
Dang, that's gonna break some hearts. That's seriously gonna break some hearts. That's such a fundamental part of New Ageism. Today, like so many channels, so many shows, so many everything devoted to manifestation. The Secret, that movie, that.
Mm-hmm. The Four Agreements. All that bullshit. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the beginning of the United States, with Manifest Destiny. They were just like, you see all this land here? Let's manifest it into us. Let's manifest it for us.
The world is what we make it, and we just made this vacant. So,
exactly. Yeah. See?
We're over here. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, no. You can manifest people away with smallpox and disease blankets and just straight murder.
Yeah, it's crazy how genocide works.
Hey, that's what Seth is teaching. So, you know what? If you're creating your own reality,
keep what you just said though. Keep what you just said though in mind for later when we get to some of the again, the extremes, the fundamentalist beliefs of what's coming out. So that another key point right here. And I actually have this written. Like, again, I want to say there is nothing particularly bad about that, about manifestation, right? Until it's taken to an extreme, right? That it's the people who go a little bit deeper and keep reading into it. The truth is, I mean, how many hardcore practicing Christians do any of us know? And we live in a quote unquote Christian nation, right? Quote unquote, big quotes. But like folks are like, yeah, I go to church on Easter and Christmas. So it's like the book itself does not define the followers in reality of any faith or religion, right? Otherwise, super, super strict countries wouldn't need to be so fucking strict, right? So like that's just a fact. It's like people don't follow it, and folks just across the board cherry pick. But the closer you get to the top of the tree, the more poisonous the cherries get, right? So careful where you're picking. That's what I'm trying to say. But the question is, how did this all start, right? Like, how did this come to be? Well, in the early 1960s, Jane was an aspiring science fiction author and poet who taught classes to small groups of people interested in the esoteric. Things like extrasensory perception, ESP, or like tarot cards. Like, these are very rudimentary in some sense, but again, this is in like the early 1960s. It's kind of whatever books are at your local library or whatever shit you heard about on like whatever local TV station you could get in, right? So it's very basic stuff, but it is the start of the alternative or like hippie movement. These things are starting to pop up more at like, all of a sudden book fairs are a thing. Holy shit, what's that? And it's like, there's somebody over there and they're really dedicated to these sets of books. And it's like, Aleister Crowley, what's he into? This is that time, right? So she's in the right time at the right place, and she's starting to dabble in the right shit. Again, she also has the background of she's a science fiction writer. I don't know if that rings any bells for any other major religion.
No,
that
not like
pops up around
Scientology
the
with
same-
L.
maybe-
Ron Hubbard.
Just maybe one. Just one that comes to mind.
Just a couple. Just a couple.
Just one.
Like Kirkology with like, you know, Star Trek Ianity. I don't know if you guys have heard about
What?
that one.
Kirkology?
Yeah, but it's like Star Trek Ianity, you know, so like people get super into it and like believe that Kirk was a god. And well, Leonard Nimoy who's Leonard Nimoy? Spock's character was Jesus. He sacrificed himself for the starship.
Dude, like, I'm gullible. I do believe in manifestation. Sometimes. Like, I will believe you. Are you lying right now?
Yes. I mean, to be fair,
Joey!
to be fair, that could have possibly be true. I don't even know. But
I could
I
see
think
it as
it
a
is now.
metaphor.
Maybe you're... Well, maybe he's starting a movement right now.
it could have been. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
he's always into the paranormal, into the UFOs, so he could have
Kristen,
started
you are-
something.
Kristen, you are currently church blocking, which is a cock blocking version of a church.
So sorry.
You are currently church blocking our retirement plans, all right? We were starting to sow the seeds right now.
Oh, I do. My humblest apologies.
We're actually planning on starting an offline Reddit. So it's basically just where people go to a
called Reddit.
bookstore. Or it's not really a bookstore. It's more like a place where you get a card of some sort. And it's like very cheap. And there's a place that has all these books. And it's just, you can go in there with this card and you can rent out books. But if you're late on taking the books, you can rent them out for like, 3 days, 4 days. And you bring them back. But if you bring them back a little late, past that, you have a small fee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was me and Gil's business idea. It's our retirement idea.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
going
know.
to be successful. Yeah.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I believe it's making a comeback. I think.
Bro. Sorry, everybody. Really awkward drinking
Feels like I need
situation
another
here.
beer to deal with this.
Poor guy, crammed in that corner, man.
It's about
I
90%
listened
of
to
this
a
is
lot.
going to be cut. Capers.
I listened
Okay.
to. I
Or
listened
not.
to.
I don't know. I'm editing it, so.
If you want to cut this part, I listened to all 10 and a half hours of the audiobook
I don't know why you did that.
and about 5 hours of her recordings from.
I could barely listen to
What?
30
Oh, yeah,
minutes of her
yeah.
talking.
Yeah, I was.
I literally went to go start writing the script and I'm like, I don't know how to use words right now. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
It has that effect on you. It has that effect on you. That video, my gosh, I was losing my grip on everything. Like catching myself zoning out, but not like because I was sleeping, but just like out for a second. I was like, oh my God. Okay.
You wake up on your computer and you've typed in how to donate to the Church of Seth. How to join the Church of Seth.
I was
Buying
being
the books.
hypnotized,
Yeah.
man.
You wake up in a tattoo chair. And he's like, all right, all done. And it's just like Seth across your forehead. It's just like, oh no.
It's like, I don't know how we got here.
God damn it again. I just grew my my undercut back after getting Keanu tattooed.
No, they tattoo Seth
That was
just over
worth
the
it.
Paranorm Girl tattoo.
Seth Paranorm Girl Seth.
And
But
bears. Yes.
things like extrasensory perception, ESP, and tarot cards. Her and her husband, whose very unfortunate name needs its own dedicated paragraph later, had a regular routine, right? So after dinner every night, the husband would, I don't know, fucking doodle bop around or whatever, while Jane would sit down in isolation for a few hours and write poetry. Bad, unwinding at the end of the day, but they never really explain what he did. So I assumed he's just like, all right, honey, I'll be over here. No, do you need anything? No, I can close the door. I could see your shadow. Oh, sorry, I'll step back. Like I kind of get that vibe. Although he seems like a very nice guy, I still get that vibe. You can be nice and like that. I'm pointing that out. And point is, it was during one of her late evening poetry times, right? A few years into their marriage, and it was December 1963 that Jane claims she first met, quote, an energy personality essence no longer focused in physical matter, end quote. Now, after this first experience where this personality essence, I'm not reading all that a billion times, had a conversation through her, she told her husband, and they immediately ran out of the house, down the street, and bought a Ouija board. Well, over the next few weeks, they tried over and over and over, and dear Lord, the book outlines this over again, to try to call or summon or beckon or smoke signal back that essence thingy, until finally it picked up the phone. And it was then that they asked for its name, which it proceeded to spell out. S-E-T-H. Seth. Well, once Seth had Jane's number saved in his contacts and knew who was calling, Jane was able to regularly channel Seth at that point. That's basically how the book breaks it down. It's like, oh, no, we're good now. And he's like, shit, I forgot to save her number last time. Like, that's kind of how it felt in the book. It's like, I don't know who the fuck this is. Beep. And just, yeah, I definitely got that fucking vibe. And so began Jane and her husband's new bi-weekly evening routine, right? So this replaced 2 poetry nights every single week, where they channeled Seth, and her husband sat there and wrote everything that Seth said down. This is in 1963. Please keep that in mind, because, dear Lord, Seth had a lot to say. But also, the first book that came out from all of this wasn't started by Seth via Jane's husband until 1970. They did this 2 nights a week for 7 years before they started.
Dang.
So while they're doing...
They have it documented in the thing as they're kind of going through, like in the book, right? Which I'm about to give the title of here in a moment. While they're going through and they're doing it, they have it documented at session number. It was session like 515 when they started the intro to the book.
So let's look at it like this. We have 100. This is our 114th episode, right? So we've done so much research on all of this stuff. You know, they're doing this personal encounter menage a trois with Seth and those two. And there's so how can they afford paper? Like, just to be honest, because they're writing so much, like 2 hours a night, 2 times a week, right?
Well, they were recording, right? Were they recording?
No, he was writing it. He was writing it down.
1963. He was.
Oh.
Yeah. And then afterwards, a lot of times after these sessions, which I call Seth sessions, but after the Seth sessions, I can't say that fast. I can't even say it slow.
Sessions.
Yeah, it's hard. But after these sessions, he would then have to go through and rewrite the notes to make it more legible. For her to, because like he was just, fucking like, honestly, take a month off, become a stenographer. It's a great career, great pay, really entertaining, being in a court, like, oh my God, so much time could have been saved.
Dude, he couldn't have been doing anything else. Nothing else.
No, which again goes back to, I could see your shadow. Like, I'm kind of like, bro, at what point do you kind of put your foot down and you're like, honey, can we like have sex? No. I'm Seth right now.
It's got to be a big
can we have
turn
sex?
off. Yeah, it's got to be a big turn off. I mean,
he becomes a content cuck. Like, he straight up becomes a content cuck. He's just watching And like the way, oh my God, there's so
No,
many things that I
it's
would like
just-
to include, but I was like, I'm taking it easy on the script. But there's some moments in there where she gets into like some shit, and it's cucky. That's all I'm saying.
Her husband's like, what's Seth doing right now?
Well, Seth is just.
Oh, got to get into her voice. And get it sounds like
No,
Creed
no,
almost.
hold on. Don't spoil the voice yet. Don't spoil the voice. I
will
have
not
it coming
spoil
up.
the voice. Okay.
It'll be a climax for everyone besides us.
and her husband.
Oh, who
Yes.
knows? He might have had a different kind of pen in his hand.
That's why his handwriting was so illegible.
Hold on, I'm writing left-handed. We don't normally make these jokes.
Welcome back.
We do,
baby.
but we cut them.
Yeah, but we got 'em.
Man, the unedited things. But see, by the time that you join our Patreon, you're not willing to get us canceled, so we can show you the shit that would get canceled.
The good stuff, juicy stuff.
The episodes that are 2.5 hours long that we record, and then they get shrunk down to 45 minutes. It's not like we weren't talking.
Nah, we were just in a pool.
You can smoke on the show, too. I'm just like,
I feel bad. I'm like,
we don't give a fuck, all right? And we encourage our audience to not give a fuck.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
encourage
All
us to do things that our audience is probably doing while listening
I
to us.
feel-
Except for one
I
thing that
hope
might
they're
get us
doing
kicked
drugs.
off on YouTube. So we don't talk about that. Though.
What?
What?
Yeah. Oh.
We're all
there
good.
goes an
We're
entire page of my script. Thanks, Joey.
No, you're welcome.
I didn't hear him. You can keep going.
He mentioned the thing of which we do not speak by saying it's the thing of which we do not speak.
Uh-huh.
Well, so yeah, it was somewhere around their 500th session. Like literally, it was like 515 or 512 or some shit. And it was like, all right, today's the day that Seth is going to start telling me so that I can tell you what the fuck to write down for the book. There's a lot of layers here. And there was about, and I'm not shitting you, there was about 20 pages of the book. It may have been a paragraph, but it felt like 20 pages. There was about 20 pages of the book where they went into the philosophical argument of and the background of, but it was from Seth saying this through her, through Jane, about I didn't let her influence the writing. She had no input on this. This is entirely pure and just from me, and how the husband made a point not to edit, and that she was miraculously she forgot everything almost immediately after she said it and had no knowledge of what the fuck she had said, which could be a sign that it's totally fucking legit. It doesn't feel like that, but it could be a sign. And so there's all these pages where it's and this was pure and this was blah blah blah, and then it literally starts to transition into, so what if I am made up? So what if I am a part of consciousness that's just completely manufactured? What if that actually does create a separate entity, and maybe it is through Jane, through the separate entity that is created. So then it starts to go from gray to battleship gray, right? And Jane starts to say shit and I'm not, I could almost quote, I'm not going to fucking pull up that PDF. Dear Lord, somebody go look up an excerpt of that and you'll know why I'm so hesitant to quote shit. But she starts to say shit and I would just talk to everybody and be like, I don't know if I could do this. And they all said, we know that you can do this. We know that you're capable of doing this. And I just felt like maybe I am capable of doing it. And then Seth told me that I am capable of doing it. And that's why he chose me to do this. And while he did give me permission a few times to go through and change some things and correct them to help with the wording around some stuff. But it was Seth. It was entirely Seth. But also, and then it basically was it was entirely Seth. Seth is 100% real unless he's not real, but that doesn't matter because the only possible way he could have done any of this, is if he picked the right person, the perfect person, who was me. But he's real.
That's circle logic.
But I also helped out a little bit. But he's 100% real. Like, there's like 20 pages, and I'm just like summarizing shit and like bullet points in one sentence, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? That's the intro.
That was real twisty, and
yeah, it sets the reader up for the rest of the fucking.
If I can bring this in, I don't know if
Just a
this is
lot of the
anywhere
same.
else. Like, so the Egyptian god, like we said, Set, is also the god of chaos and a trickster and a joker. So if this is possible that Egyptian god isn't in some real way, this idea of it, this is kind of messing with your mind as you're listening to it, and that's kind of what a chaos and a trickster god would do through somebody to kind of make you believe, but it's real, but is it? But is it real? But is it? Let me just like pluck your brain a little bit and move you around. So I'm not saying it's real, obviously. I'm just saying that as a comparison to the Egyptian deity, Seth, who was a trickster god and also was a very disorder kind of person to try to create a lot of chaos, create a lot of things going on. And that's what this person is doing to some of these people's lives. So
yeah, and it puts anybody listening to that in this weird like gray space where ultimately it's okay, whatever the answer is, whatever is at the end of all this, it's okay because I've been prepped and primed for this, that it could be this, it could be that, I don't know, but it's okay because it's all real.
Or is it?
Because we make
or
it
is
real.
it? Yes. Because we create our own reality.
We all create it. And I really like what you said, Joey, because honestly, so like I'm a huge fan of disorder and chaos and shit. And if I was as old as Set, I would start doing shit like this and think that it's fucking hilarious. Like I immediately, if I die and then it's just like, all right, you get dominion over Lansing, Michigan or some shit, I would be like, like, and I'm like, wait, I'm not gonna die or get in trouble for anything I do. And they're like, no, you're fine. You could do whatever you want. I'm like, I'm gonna start putting Pop Rocks in everybody's coffee creamer. Like, I would just start doing weird fucking shit. Like, when it's like, what is it, the Kentucky meat rain case where it was like all those bits of meat started like raining in Kentucky. That it was like super well documented. Yeah. It was lab tested. It was like this happened. I mean, it was like early lab tested, but the point is like that shit existed, and I forget what the fuck protein it turned out to be. It was also like a very early analysis of it, but yeah, no, it was like chunks of meat, which is falling over an entire region of Kentucky.
That's
and then,
so weird.
Then obviously within the next day, because it was summer, it went bad and it stunk real like everybody was like, oh my god, it's raining meat, and then they went there like, oh my god, this fucking stinks, and then they left. Like, there was a couple folks that I think actually like ate it and they were like, it was okay.
Ew.
Yeah, I mean that would give a whole new meaning to it's raining cats and dogs,
Yeah. I mean, like literally cats and dogs.
Are they eating them in Kentucky though?
I know they are in Springfield, Ohio.
Me too. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's true. But it could have just been chopped up pieces of the old horses that were running from.
Okay, I'm thinking of the Kentucky Derby because I was like, was
how
it
the
horse
Kentucky Derby
meat?
started.
Like,
it could have been horses. Nah, I don't really know either.
The point is, nobody make Gil a god because he would be just the worst.
He'd be Loki,
and
you would be Loki.
That my 100%, and that my family, the Bentley side of my family, is from that region of Kentucky. I just think that's promising. That's all I'm saying. Well, book's title: Seth Speaks: The Eternal Validity of the Soul. written by Jane Roberts, with notes by her husband.
I think this is going to be bad.
With notes by her husband, Robert F. Butts.
Rob F. Butts. Robbie. Robin Butts.
It's literally 2 T's. It's like Robert F. period. The whole time I was reading, it's like Robert fucks Butts. Like,
it would be great if his name was Richard, though.
Dick F. Butts.
Oh, Johnson F. Butts.
Oh, well, Johnson. Well,
Richard
it would have
F.
been also funny if his name was Seth. The husband's name was Seth.
Shit's about to get real weird here.
Okay, I'm listening.
The dictation process, or the
the
transcribing
what?
process. Yeah, the dictator process. No, the dictation process.
Dictated by
Robert
F. Butts.
Robert F. Butts. No, nobody at any point, and I couldn't find it anywhere, explain why the fuck, like, Jane and Robert have completely different last names. Like, I just...
Sometimes people don't change their last name.
No. Her name is Jane Roberts.
Oh, that would be so weird.
His name is Robert F. Butts, but her name was Jane. Fuck, the names get really fucking confusing, and it's about to get real bad here in a moment.
She kept her original last name, otherwise her last name would be Butts.
Jane Butts.
The end.
She was like,
she was like, no, I'm good.
Like,
I'm good.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find Robert's full middle name, just the initial, which I'm assuming it just means fuck. And by fuck, I mean fucked, because this dude is just fucked. I am so mad that his name is in small print on the cover of the book, because I know how much hard work he did for all of this shit. Well, Jane is just like, why isn't this written clearly? Leave me alone. I have a date with Seth. We have to talk production. Yes, ma'am.
Get away from the door.
This guy's getting yelled at by Seth and by his wife just consistently all day. He just like can't catch a break.
I feel so bad for Rob.
Oh,
And I've
Mr.
seen
Butts.
videos. I know. I've seen interviews and shit with him. He legitimately seems like a very sincere, very sweet
He does.
guy.
Yeah.
God
He's like,
damn it, Jane stomped all over it.
She's like, damn it, that's it. We're going to a marriage counselor. And they just walk next door. He's like, marriage counselor Seth. It's just like,
Your wife is right.
I cannot win. I cannot win with this one.
He's just like, oh no, even they agree.
All right, Robert, you're going to have to take notes for us on this the marriage counseling session.
So it's like Seth talking through Jane, just like, Robert, how does the upcoming divorce feel? He's just like, can you, I write down my thoughts? Yeah, they're just like making out with themselves, and she's doing that thing,
Got a
you
mirror.
know? And she's like, they're like, yeah, give us some quiet time. And he's like, okay, I'll write it down. I feel so bad. I've never seen someone be a potentially paranormal cuck before, but like, this is literally it. This could be a very niche audience Pornhub channel. Like, this could be it, where it's just like, yeah, I'll write down what's happening. It's all, dude, for 7 years. And then it keeps going. It goes for like another 15 or 20 years after this. Like, this isn't the end. There's like 90 books. I don't even know if they tapped into the first 7 years of 500 sessions.
How can there be so many? This is like the first time I've ever heard of this movement, or this particular story, I guess.
They start running two a days, you know?
Like, that's the thing, is once you hear it, you realize they just took the same dictionary and put it in a fucking blender. Although there could be an alternate universe, which, fuck it, at this point, anything's possible, right? Where Robert was just really bad at taking notes, but it was actually incredibly eloquent and like predicted a million things and was like, this is the cure to HIV. You don't know what that is yet for another 10 years, but I will tell you. And he's just like, I think I'm going to try toaster strudels. Those sound good. And she's like, damn it, Robert. Like, I'm sorry, baby.
Or the alternate universe is that it's Seth's universe and Jane keeps coming through and speaking through him, but it's just their normal conversation with the husband and wife. And then Seth is like, God damn it, with his wife or husband or whatever. Deity.
It's just an alien.
Deity. Yeah.
It's just an alien in a ship that's like spending too long in the bathroom. That's like not even like emotionally, but like so cerebrally cheating on his alien wife. Just being like, yeah, I got one of those hot humans. Hold that bitch out in the eternal. Got my side planet.
I'm getting Jane Hub.
Oh, she's channel cheating. So here's the thing. This book would go on to sell millions of copies. Just this one. All the other ones did too. Just this one. This is in 1970, a book selling millions of copies. This is a big fucking deal, right? Just getting a fucking publisher in the 1970s was insane. You know, like that's like holy shit, authors struggled for that. Even like some medium to big size authors like struggled with getting certain books published and shit that they made. She got this shit published and it went to the millions immediately, right? So millions of copies, which ultimately, inevitably, led to Jane holding lectures and teaching classes via channeling Seth, who would give very, very long-winded sermons that occasionally, sometimes, if you listened far enough, answered people's questions. So here's the thing. As humans, the process behind how we come to open up to, right, or accept something can make a huge difference, right? So when we read a book, we imagine a voice for the author and each of the characters that get brought up in there. That's what you do. And when we listen to an audiobook, the voice actors kind of, fill the gap and add a more refined emotion to the text that's coming across. And either of those starting points can completely make or break how appealing the content is. And this is important because for millions of people reading the book in the 1970s, and I want to emphasize this, for millions of people today that are listening to the audiobook, the early romance that gets created, it doesn't get divorced from the reality of the content until after they've gotten sucked in, right? I really want to emphasize this. I had came across the video of Jane in a channeling session with Seth and F Butts taking notes and like her talking, right? And it was recorded. That was the first thing I came across. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is wackadoo, which is like why I kind of had it on the back burner on a playlist that was collecting dust and why I picked it up now. I didn't know it go this deep. I just thought it was the only video of this super obscure thing with a handful of followers. I didn't know it just kept fucking going. But it turns out, if you're the kid of a kid of a kid, then everything's connected through history, right? Well, that was my first exposure to this. And I couldn't get over the comments, the overwhelming, and it's like day to day, hour to hour, recent comments across a lot of these videos of people being so uplifted and being like, I remember when I got this book in 1973, somebody gave it to me and it changed my life and da-da-da-da. Like it, like so much, and it's so constant, and people are getting turned on to it now. I think it has like a 9.5 out of 10 star rating on like Goodreads and shit. right? Seriously, don't go look at the reviews. This is still 100% relevant, right? But my first exposure was what's at the other end of the rainbow, right? What's at the end of the trail of what folks that go from getting a book, reading it, trying really hard to understand it, developing an idea, starting to get into it, starting to try to practice and live their life, then being like, oh my God, there's a conference. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go see it. At that point, they're invested in it. They've handed the book off to someone else. They've told folks about it. They identify with it. They're going to be way more receptive to shit that would have completely turned them away the first time they saw it. It's just you probably don't fart on a first date kind of a thing, you know? I'm just being real. There's certain things, this is a process as humans, there's certain things where it's I'm not that comfortable with them yet, or I should wait a little while, or da-da-da, or it finally happens and it's an accident and everybody laughs it off and point is you have to grow more comfortable with the reality, right? So you have to start with that illusion, go into reality. But if you go the other way, you're like, what the literal fuck just happened? If you were oh, it's so nice to meet you. I'm glad you could go on a date tonight. Oh, God. Oh, I shit my pants. You'd be like, I'm not dating, you know? But if that happened on their 19th date, or something, it'd be like, oh, my God, that was hilarious. But there's 18 other ones for reference. You're fine, That's all I'm trying to say. That's how our brains work. And so this is important. We've moved into the audiobook generation in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm assuming most folks listening to a podcast right now also probably maybe enjoy audiobooks. You're probably an auditory type of person, right? Don't get roped in. And help your friends not get fucking roped in. This shit is don't get roped in. This is one compound in Central or South America away from Jonestown. This is bad shit.
So I guess at the beginning, they're just bringing you in with barely broaching the topics, so you're just scratching that little surface of seeing oh, this is beautiful. I can help my life. I can apply this to my life. Why wouldn't I just view this bad thing as a good thing and just change it as a good part in my life? And and it takes a while, and it's slowly over time for them to bear fruit. Snuck him in twice.
Jesus, oh God, he's so good.
But it takes a while for that to, you're saying, to just niche into your brain, to leech onto your brain, and then at the end of it, you're fucking shooting up Seth into your veins, and you're spending all your money.
Seth.
Yeah, mainline and Seth, and then you barely have any money at the end, and you're just
in the
here
kitchen,
you go, Seth.
Cooking Seth. Yeah.
Yep.
That's every cult. That's every belief system. Scientology. They really,
Yep.
Or however a fishing pole works. And then it's just easy peasy. It's easy peasy at first. It's all sunshine and roses and ponies.
It's a big reel.
It's a bass. It's a big one.
What if we took every single religion and stopped it at the beginning? You stop at the.
They tried that in Rome.
They did, yeah. They did. But what if we stopped all the the learning? They did try that in Rome, and somebody got murdered.
Didn't a lot of people get murdered?
Yeah, a lot.
What do you mean by that? Elaborate on your idea there. What if we tried to stop everyone?
We're talking about the beginning of this religion as it's not bad. You're thinking about how do you view things. It's your purview on how you're viewing what bad things is good things. And if before you get into that next step of it, same with Scientology, where they're eat well, most of it is starting. They're let's check you out, see how your thoughts are. If you eat well, you're doing better. If you keep away from these things, you're doing better. So just set these little, you're putting your pinky toe into these religions. Most of the time, to get you in, is how they do it. We just talked about, is it's not bad. There's some things that you can take away and be that's good.
Absolutely.
But what if there was a religion that took every single piece of all those beginnings and just never went any farther.
It was just all good.
Well, I mean, you can't always have all good because it's not how life works, but you just had all of these things that help.
It was
helpful.
just always the pizza party phase.
It's always the pizza party phase.
Yeah.
You know?
Joey, you just circled around it. You didn't even circle. You blazed a goddamn trail, hitting bears in your path, everything, to get to such a fucking good point. That point is when she hopscotched through all these different religions. Guess the fuck what happens when you first start getting into a religion. All of the introductory shit. All of the, this is why you need us. This is how you should start to view the world. This is all of the most seductive assets of religions that actually try to go out and convert folks, right? The most seductive aspects, or the very rudimentary, the very fundamental 101 things that after thousands of fucking years of society processing and philosophers working on, theologians working on, they simplified it down for the folks that are day one because they want more folks to be a part of their belief system. So just the hooks, just the greatest hits, right, to get you into that shit. She bounced across a lot of them just long enough to kind of start getting to the part where she actually had to fucking study and then dip the fuck out and then went to the next one. So as these word salads, right, these word set salads, these word Seth salads, salad Seths, as these things start to develop, that is 99% of what she's saying. It's just a million fucking hooks. It's a pizza party every fucking day for your imagination, but nobody can find the goddamn pizza. So like, but that, I honestly do think that was a key element. You know, it's like she did go through and she made a fucking like mixtape, but she only listened to the one hit song from every single one of those bands on those different stages. Then she came back and she's like, listen to this dope album I just made. And they're like, it's a little out of tune, but I see potential, you know? Like, that's what fucking happened here.
This is, to me, it's like the Scholastic book fair when you were young, but you don't get the free pizza for reading the books. Like, they promise you the free pizza to get you the books, and then you just don't get them because you have to read through all this stuff, and then at the end, there's nothing there.
Do I need
There's
to break
no
it
answer.
to him?
Or you do get the pizza, and when you finally do
Joey.
get it, you realize it's this big.
I would not complain. Joey, oh, fuck, this is going to change your childhood, but hey, I'm sorry. I got to break this here live on air right now to the world's your heartbreak and emotion. Joey, the Pizza Hut reading club was separate than the Scholastic Book Fair, bud. You went to the wrong
You're
place
right.
with your reading points.
You're actually right. I forgot.
So sorry. Because I did do
This-
that
you-
because I've
you-
been a lifelong devotee of books and pizza.
I knew what you meant, Joey.
I forgot that they were
I
different.
knew what he
but I
meant.
swear, no, Scholastic Book
But
Fair, you go and buy
Schol-
books
Yeah.
for it. But I swear there was something like that it wasn't, because I don't remember.
You
the
still
plot.
have your pizza points, don't you, bud?
I don't think I ever got pizza for all
You
the books
still-
I read.
No, that's what I'm saying. You still have
Yeah.
your summer reading less points card somewhere, don't you, bud?
No.
You're
I
still
don't know
hoping
if I
for
have the
that day.
card. Which is
Tell you
even
what, bud, you
sadder
tell me-
because I can't now go to Pizza Hut without a
I'll
card
ask
and
your
be
mom.
like,
I
hey.
guarantee
wonder if you
your
could
mom
still redeem
remembers.
them now.
Uh-huh.
Think you could?
You
Do
know
think they'd
what?
honor them?
If this world still has a fucking heart, it would.
I like to think Pizza Hut still has a heart. You know? Like, I'd like to think out of all the pizza chains, I would
Yeah.
say, Papa John's, no.
Oh yeah, no,
Papa
fuck,
John's
no.
does not have a
No,
heart.
no.
Domino's,
No.
no.
Papa-
No
Papa
heart
John's
in
is like the
Domino's.
Catholic father of pizza, like
Mhm.
literally.
Yeah, it'll sleep with you,
it's just-
you know?
It'll sleep with your children.
Yeah.
But
Mm. Yeah. But I do still feel like, you know, because it's from our childhood, you know? Like the pizza buffets, just can't remember.
Pizza used to be the largest purchaser of kale in the United States because they used it for the display around their buffets. Nobody fucking ate kale then.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was just a fucking it wasn't even a garnish. It was a fucking decoration on like the thing, and they just threw it away.
I love that.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish we could go back. We need to get rid of that shit. But
if I could go back, I would be eating that kale underneath for free.
You would get arrested immediately.
Making a little kale salad.
Like, this is not free. This is not free.
We cannot have the garnish, Kristen.
I think she's a time traveler. She is just fucking inventing things and doing it wrong.
Ahead of her time.
Kristen,
yeah.
She must be from the past. Like, Quiz time travelers. Well, after all the incredible conversation, I hope, maybe my brain's just numb from all the shit we're about to go through. Point is, I'm not going to do that whole audiobook or book thing or just like quotes or hearing it in somebody else's voice. No. Straight to the fucking horse's mouth, right? And straight to the butts. I want, before we have an open forum style discussion around some of the deeper aspects of Seth, before we get into the backstory, the process, the beliefs, I'm going to play a clip of Jane channeling Seth. And I hope if you've made it this damn far, either A, you're as cynical as us, black star for you, or B, you're like just rage listening at this point. And if you are rage listening at this point, or if you're in the first category, I think this next clip will explain why we're all so fucking primed to just tear into this bullshit.
I don't know. I'm starting to believe, so.
Hit the tape, Joey. Hit the tape.
Your being is important. The fact that you are, my friend, impresses the universe, and that impression is never lost. That impression lives in your terms, though time itself is forgotten and dies. Your being, as it is important. And whatever you do, it is not trivial. When you realize that your being is important, then you will realize that by being yourself, you will do in your terms important things you cannot do otherwise.
Yep. Initial thoughts, y'all?
That's about how I remember it. I have a Seth tattooed on my chest all of a sudden. It's so strange how that happened.
God, how does this keep happening?
It doesn't say Seth. It says Setha.
It's
Setha.
Hold on. There's. Oh, go ahead.
No, initial thought. It's nonsense. Like, I don't even know what
it's bullshit.
She said. I don't understand what was the moral of that story. Like, I could not tell you.
I intentionally, so there's a longer piece, which I'm going to play another section from here in a second. I'm going to screen share to the original YouTube, and I'll include the original link, although I feel like dirty for like, it's like, oh, I'm all out of wheat this week. Here's heroin. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't even want to fucking put that up as a reference. It's like, I don't want to encourage that shit, but you can find it. If you literally type in Seth Speaks, it'll come up. But I will include that video that I straight up stole a clip from. I'll include that in there. It was copyrighted for proper deaf butts, so I think I'm okay. But I'm such an ass. He's such an ass. We're such asses. We'll get along. But no. Where was I going with that? There's sections that when I first heard and third and fourth heard did not make any fucking sense. And I was like, what? It's because the cadence is so fucked up. Like, I added subtitles on top of the old subtitles for that for folks that are watching this, because I was like, it's like really hard to understand what the fuck's going on. Like literally, I'm just like, I know English, I think. And I'm just like, I don't understand these fucking words. Like everything's off. The syllables are off. Like like everything is wrong with it. And it's that process of like, I have to focus. That honestly, at least to me, sucks you in. It's still annoying when you get in there. Like, honestly, it's still really fucking annoying once you do understand it. But at that point, I committed to this episode. I didn't do this out of actual fucking interest. Like, in terms of, like, this is going to change my life. That was not what happened. I was just like, this is fascinating content. And I was like, doing it for the report. God damn it. Like, like I'm doing it for the report. I did understand some shit. And if you change the speed you're listening to it, it makes it a little easier. Sometimes she kind of makes sense, but it's still really fucking shallow, which goes back to the whole, she just kind of, pick cherries from a bunch of different belief systems and cultures and then started repeating it back. But she repeated it back in such a way that it drew folks in. It's almost like if you're somewhere and you like intentionally, if you talked quieter to make the person come closer to you, like, wait, fuck, that's so-and-so. And they're like, that's who? And they're just like, so-and-so. And they're like, what? That's so-and-so. And then they finally get closer and you're like, don't look, that's my ex-partner right now. Like, it's that kind of a thing, but it's like with an attention span. And then you get in and you're just like, this is still fucking stupid. Like, this is dumb as shit. But by that point, especially in the 1970s, people had already paid money to travel across the country and sit in a room with her. They had already been reading the book, recommending the book, getting volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. What the fuck does Seth say this week? Saturday, dude. What's the new edition? They're fucking stoked. And like, by that point, you're a little bit more accepting of like, okay, well, this is similar. But actually, because that's similar, maybe because it's similar to other things, it makes it more legitimate. Yeah, because they're all kind of saying the same things, but I understand her. Like, there's a thought process that happens with that shit, right?
Yeah.
Which is what's so fucking seductive about this shit. She just never had, and I'm assuming Robert Butts didn't either, the ovaries or the balls to like, or the butts to actually like get the guns to pull the trigger and make this a full-fledged cult. Like, straight up, this could have been a 100% serious fucking cult, but they kind of like went soft. So like, props to them. They're crazy, didn't take down the world. That's cool. But like, it just never went. It could have. It very easily fucking could have. Now, I'm gonna screen share here a little clip of Jane, same lady for folks that are just hearing audio that you just heard, channeling Seth. I'm gonna play a clip of her speaking normally, but she's not channeling Seth.
But when I was out, I would go in atoms and molecules, and I felt their consciousness. But then when I read the script, it was terribly hard to accept portions of it because it pretty much went against what I've been taught.
And real quick again for reference.
Your being is important. The fact that you are, my friend, impresses us.
This is a load of bullshit. I'm sorry. This is so like.
I'm gonna say this really maybe controversial thing, and I think she's hotter as Seth than she says Jane. I'm kind of digging the voice, honestly. The Seth voice. I don't know. There's just something about it. It's drawing me in. As I guess that's what people feel.
Yeah, you're ripe. You're ripe for Sethism. The
spiritual threesomes.
The dichotomy between the two characters is really interesting. It's just so very black and white. Like, but it's as if you pick a character that's what is you think is completely different from yourself, and you go to the extreme. I do wonder how much of her own BS was she buying? Did she actually,
I
on some
don't
level,
know.
did she believe it?
I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea. I know that this is where the name things get confusing. So Seth called Jane Rupert, fairly close to Robert, or Robert F. Butts, her husband's name. Seth called Jane Rupert, also referred to Jane as a him, because Seth had known Jane as Rupert / other people many times during processes of reincarnation and stuff. They go way back. They go way. It's an old high school boyfriend, just like way the fuck back. And Robert F. Butts was called Jonathan. There was like 9 people in the room where 2 people were sitting. Like, honestly, just like, what the literal shit gets out of hand. I don't know how much, and that's why at the beginning when I said like schizophrenia, I wasn't trying to use that improperly. I was being dead serious, where I was like, this might be recordings of somebody having schizophrenic episodes, or like, I guess in this case, multi-dimensional personality disorder. Like, I don't fucking know.
That's a new one.
Like,
that's a new one.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional personality disorder. Coined
Thank
here
you.
by Gil.
No, but like, I don't know, because I think it's one of these things, and these are words I hate to say on the show, and I do consider them like an insult 99% of the time. I came close a few times to being like, I believe that she believes. I fucking hate that phrase so fucking much. Those are dirty words in my mind. But after listening to hours and hours and hours and reading her husband's version of what she said via Seth, I was like, I don't know. And these were full life commitments. It wasn't like she, at least that I could find, she never dropped the act. And her husband never dropped the act. Right? She died first, and like he died, I don't know, a handful of years later. He never dropped the act. So like they might have 100% been committed to this shit, or believed it.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's
to
never. Even Alex Jones dropped his act, when he was about to go to jail, right? So. Or he was in court, I guess.
Yeah.
The Warrens, I feel like sometimes dropped the act when they were talking to the writers of some of the books.
Yes, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah. So to see that, and maybe it just wasn't documented that they did in some ways, because that could happen, because they're selling millions of books.
Damn it, Robert! Why'd you write that down? I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's the wrong thing. Just like throws a shoe at him.
Oh
no, that was Seth.
You're reminding me of some shit that happened. So I did take a bunch of notes about random things in between the massive piles of gibberish rubbish that was this book. And it's like because Robert was very fucking detailed, or Jonathan, or whatever the fuck he's going by that minute. He was very detailed about everything that's happening, including like start times, end times, like little questions that were asked in between, like, because like you're sitting there and you're just like, and then the mountain, which you think is no bigger than your toe atoms, can't open as wide as your view of history, such a narrow view of the universe in this moment. Tomorrow, like while that shit was going on, and that could have been a fucking direct quote. Again, I've been listening to this shit a lot. There would be breaks. There would be these little moments where Seth, I'm just gonna fucking call him Seth. You know who I'm talking about. The phone call process I'm talking about there. Where Seth would stop and ask Robert questions or request things, or sometimes, because again, at the beginning of the book, which those 20 pages felt more like a disclaimer for the rest of the content than they did an actual, like, I'm getting ramped up to, like, read some shit. There were points. At one point, they openly admitted at one point, and then Rupert, got up in the middle of the session and went and got some brandy, and like she was drinking like rum, wine, coffee. She was chain smoking the whole fucking time that it was happening. Whatever. I mean, I'm drinking on the show. If I could smoke, I would, but I'm also not claiming to be channeling an eternal entity spirit and like dictating a belief system. So there's a difference,
Not yet.
Although love our followers. But no, there's one point, I don't remember what I have the actual page saved somewhere, where she gets up in the middle of a session and he said fucking Robert F. Butts is like writing down like everything that's happening, like vigorously, right? Very detailed, very committed. She gets up. It's 10:15 p.m. Thursday, December, da-da-da-da-da. She's like, Jane, a.k.a. Rupert, gets up from the couch. She walks through the living room, into the doorway, and into the kitchen. I hear sounds coming from the drawers. She spent like 5 minutes looking for matches so she could come back and light a cigarette.
As Seth?
While she's in the middle of this intense channeling and being like, oh, no. And then she just is like, and just leaves and goes back and sits down. And the reason why God is small. And it's just like, what the fuck? So ridiculous. And then there's these little moments which do make me question. Again, I kind of go back and forth because I'm like, I don't know if I'm not a fucking psychologist. I don't know the fuck. Maybe this is a known thing or an issue, but I do have a great. Unless Joey, were you about to say something? But
no,
you would say something. Face.
Yeah, I was about to say she's got to be like she's got to be like the Robert De Niro, of acting. If she's getting, in a lot of ways, not believing it, because like to be able to go from point A, to like to doing your own life, like to doing your own life, and that point back to point A again is like switching on a light, and like actors train like so many years to be able to do that, and to switch off and
years?
On. 87 years?
No, like maybe 7 years from the time that Robert first contacted her.
Uh-huh.
And when they actually started to go public with it. We're looking, in my mind, in my honest opinion, we're looking at 7 years of acting. of self-educated acting. Training.
True. Yeah.
Acting lessons. So,
one of the commenters on YouTube also said this, that Bob Dylan would sing softer at his shows so people would listen in closer to listen to his music. So that, and then I was like, that's around the same time that this was happening. And so maybe she started learning that style from Bob Dylan of his entertainment.
Michael Jackson sung in higher pitches. Because children can still hear those. But no, I'm just kidding. I love Michael Jackson, but not the things that he did.
I was just thinking, just a random thought, her, like, the story you just told of where she was in the middle, like, and then went and, like, dug in some drawers for, like, 5 minutes straight, and then came back, was like, That makes me think, because I know, like, when she came out of it quick. It was pretty quick process, like when she was done and then was back to Jane. Pretty quick, painless process. Yeah. That's like, that makes me think, as an actor, of like the method. You stay in character. You stay because you don't want to lose that, because once you lose it, you lose all that motivation, everything internally going on. So you keep it going because that's just easier.
Yeah. No, that 100% tracks, but I think, like, so the book Seth Speaks, I can't speak for the other like 30 volumes of different Seth speakings. But it didn't have things broken down where it was like session number 501 and then the next page was session number 502. It didn't have things broken down like that. So, she didn't edit, but she would be the best editor. But she didn't edit, but she would be the best editor if she did edit. And even if she did edit, maybe this is like an actual thing now because she made this process up. So again, it goes back to that disclaimer where it's like, that shit might have happened where she like did completely fall out of the method and she had like an entire, a slump in terms of things. They were doing it 2 nights a fucking week for hours.
Yeah.
Every single night, that they were doing this. So maybe she did. And he did at certain points, like Robert F. Butts, he would say like, it was a slower evening for her tonight. She wasn't dictating or giving me as much stuff to dictate. Like, but in all fairness too, to flip back, it's day-to-day life. You're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have high energy, low energy. It's this is over decades, literally. So
but,
every two,
but
Robert.
if it is Seth speaking through her, there would not be any low, higher, or higher energy.
Brother, there is a 20-page disclaimer that you can refer to if you want about that. That gives reason about, hey, well, I just make sure to benefit her but not take from her. But also, if she pushes herself too far, she's an author. Like, it literally gets to do. She's an author too. While she was doing all this, she also wrote and started to get published 2 other books while doing all of this. So, like, how could she possibly also be doing this? And like that dude, like it's 20 pages, and then it's like, aha! It just like kind of comes into this.
So the idea is that he's not an energy
disclaimer.
I guess he's not an energy vampire. Seth is not an energy vampire,
taking
the energy from her to do this. So,
no,
that I guess
that was a long process of them learning how to. I don't know, have the same phone plan and minutes every month or some shit. I don't know what the fuck it was, but like literally that is detailed in paragraphs where it's just like, and I don't take, but I give, but I don't give too much to change her. But she does help influence things, but not in the ways that you think. What were you thinking? It wasn't that. It wasn't that. That's not what it was. In this other way that you didn't think of, that might have happened, but unless you thought of that, then that did not happen. That's the whole...
Quite the disclaimer.
This is literally South Park.
Let's see here. I want another funny there was one moment that stood out, and it encapsulated the feeling of what became Seth and Jonathan, aka Robert F. Butts' relationship during these intense sessions where both married parties are sitting there every single 2 nights a week, dedicated 3, 4, 5 hours, and he's writing down everything bigger. It's became a focal point in their life, right? So there's a relationship that's going to develop between Seth and Robert. Session 559, November 9th, 1970, 9:18 p.m. Monday. Excerpts from the 558th session for November 5th are included in the appendix. Seth. Good evening! Just saying it was like this at home, too. Robert, good evening. Good evening, Seth. Seth. Now for dictation! We will begin the next chapter. It will be called The Stories of the Beginning and the Multidimensional God. Robert, leaning forward. Robert notes. Seth leaned forward, smiling but intent. Seth, how do you like that? Robert, it's very good. Immediately. As the present life of an individual rises from hidden dimensions beyond those easily accessible in physical terms, and as it draws its energy and power to act from unconscious sources, so is the presence physical universe as you know it rises from other dimensions, so does it have its source and draw its energy from deeper realities. Now I'm going to drop the voice for a minute and just read it like you would probably read it in your head. It doesn't help. History, as you know it, represents but one single light upon which you focus. You interpret the events that you see therein, and you project upon its glimmer your interpretation of events that may occur. So, entranced is your concentration, that when you wonder about the nature of reality, you automatically confine your question to this one small flickering moment that you call physical reality. When you ponder upon the aspects of God, you unthinkingly speak of the creator of that one light. The light is unique, and if you truly understand what it was, you would indeed understand the nature of true reality. History, as you think of it, represents but one thin line of possibilities in which you are presently immersed. It does not represent the entire lifetime of your species or the catalog of physical activities, or begin to tell the story of physical creatures, their civilizations, wars, joys, technology, or triumphs. Finishing up a Seth. Reality is far more diverse, far richer, and unutterable than you can presently suppose or comprehend. Illusion, as you think of it, and as is categorized by your scientists, represents but one probable line of evolution. That the whole fucking book is that. The whole goddamn book is... It's like, I can understand bits and pieces, but it's like, you're just repeating the same shit everybody else said.
It's automatic writing vocalized with
AI.
a character on top of it. That's it.
It's AI writing. Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT to give me something deep about, our meaning and the real, truth. Like, give me something. That's what it was sounding like. It's very circular, very long-winded. There are no periods. I'm convinced there are no periods in the entire book.
I'm not fucking shitting it. No.
Are there no periods?
There is a part
Are you
where
serious?
Jane, because Jane was allowed to write the introduction or blooper, the fuck she's going by that week. Jane literally says, and Seth, he's great, he did fantastic. We didn't have to edit anything, but if we did, it would be okay. But honestly, even if I did make it up, but she says, she's like, he's a fantastic writer. It's his first book. You got to cut him some credit. He does have very long sentences, though. Like, that's like a literal line.
So, to add to my theory about ancient Egyptian God,
Set never used a period.
Never used punctuation.
Chaos, baby. He was chaos even as a writer.
Hieroglyphics had no punctuation.
It was all in
Ancient
hieroglyphics?
Egyptian had no punctuation.
It's true.
Hence, it being translated to English would have no punctuation.
Ants was the Egyptian word for grammar. Set ants means stopping Set from fucking up words. This makes sense. I made that up. I'm not going to keep people in suspense. I know they believe me.
You would have had me there, but
we're like
So-
totally
We know.
wrapped up. I'm going to step away real quick. Keep
I
going.
knew. So are we going with the Seth is set
oh god!
theory? Is that
Imagine
the
if you were
theory?
in ancient Egypt and you just heard this coming down from the pyramid, looking down as you were getting whipped, moving the stones into
Dude.
place.
Oh my god!
Have you guys seen that video where they've been able to recreate? Please tell me you know what I'm
videos
talking
where
about.
they've been able to recreate.
So it's a sarcophagus.
Also, a lot of videos I've seen.
No. Okay, yeah, that one. Okay, the sarcophagus got the mummy inside, and these scientists had worked to we can recreate.
I haven't seen this.
We have to post this on socials. There's a video. It was like my hot dog fail, or I've seen so many of them, but they're through thousands of years of scientific research, and it's like all these like intense 3D CAT scans, and it's like multicolored layers, and it's like scientists have been able to recreate what King Tutankhamun actually sounded like. And he's like, it's so good. It's true. So good. Oh my God. No, but I did just realize the beginning of Crazy Train was Ozzy Osbourne becoming a Sethite. That was Seth doing backup.
Oh, that makes sense.
And if you take the words and remove the commas, Ozzy was still learning at the time. If you take the words and remove the commas, it sounds like 90% of this fucking book. On a crazy train. Everybody's like, yeah, my life is a crazy train. Yeah.
They were around at the same time.
Coincidence? Fuck no, because I make my own reality, which we'll get to in just a moment.
Mm-hmm. It did, like, listening to the instantly and constantly revolving speech and patterns and just the train of thought behind it, literally, and it probably in every single thing is trying to give you the idea that you are your own God. Because if you believe that your perception affects reality, and that means you can create anything that you would like, and that the way that they explained it as history is only you're viewing your own history, you're not viewing somebody else's history, and is what she said, that you're this person here, and it comes back to you're your own God because you can create and shape your perception of how you feel everything is going. And that's what I kind of got what the circular path kept going to, because it kept saying, you know, you're this person and you don't know what that person is seeing. And so, like, back in the day, you're your own piece of history. But that person has their own piece of history, which is another perception of how the reality is. And I feel like that is consistently every single conversation looped back to that one point. And so if we're going to say that there's a pizza party, right? Our Pizza Hut pizza party at the end of the road. For me, what I'm getting from this, your personal pizza, which technically
personal,
it's your personal here. It's your personal history. That is the personal thing, is that you can create your own reality and you can create your own God in a way in this idea. This is how I'm viewing Seth and Jane and Robert, but that's how I'm viewpointing what they're saying, you know, just you're creating your own God. You are your own God because your viewpoint is what you're creating. I don't know.
Well, it's not a brand new idea. Like the spiritualism movement was doing a lot of like pieces of this, but at that time, like you got to think in the 60s, like shit was going to get real. Like what was the environment like around that point where, you know, this was the new idea and it was the best idea, a very momentous idea to make each individual person to feel like they had control over every aspect of their lives. They just had to believe it hard enough. They just had to go within and realize that they were one with God and they themselves were as powerful as that. And they were blessed and they had full control. Like, you know, that was the landscape at the time, right? It was a changing time. Oh, just, interesting. And it's, still around today. We, lots of people still, that's incorporated in tons of belief systems
non-Europeans, right, were all of a sudden allowed to go to schools on non-European land here in the United States. And that was crazy. Oh, wow. Like Biden was in school then. But he was. And Trump was making sure that didn't happen in his Trump's dad was making sure that didn't happen in his apartment complexes, which Woody Guthrie wrote a great song about. Joey, you fucking did it again. Not surprised. But there's a lot. there are some, and you're right
Damn
too,
it, Joe.
Kristen. Like you kind of called the moment. Joey kind of called like the consolidation of like how that reflects the beliefs. You kind of called the consolidation of how that made a focal point of this moment. It primed people for Jane / Seth / Robert / Joseph / whatever the fuck was going on that day. To step up to the top of this pyramid that everybody had their backs to at the moment. Everybody's like, wait a fucking, that is there. And then they were like, I'm on top. And it's like, Tuesday, September 28th. Seth is on top. Again. But
that was a different kind of book that he was writing. His side quest.
Hey man, gotta pay the bills in the meantime. No, but there's a lot of things, and so again, I did the same shit they all did, whichever version of them you want to think of. At the beginning with a long, a tedious intro. I always drop the breadcrumbs. So, just as I said, shit that goes too fucking far, and when you get to the fundamentalist level, literally, I mean, other than the Amish, which, by the way, don't always have the best reputation with their own fucking children. Rumspringa, it's a total fucking thing. And if they do choose to leave, right, to not come back and be disowned and disband and yada, 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 99% of the time, shit does not work out well for them. So people always are like, well, the Amish are fundamentalists and they're just stuck in 1800s German life. And it's like, yeah, but there's still some downsides. I'm just going to say, if you go too far in any direction, it's good. The world's gray. All right? You know what I'm saying? Our words shouldn't be, but the world is.
50 Shades of it.
So one of the things, and it gets repeated a lot, is Seth's non-traditional karma views. I want to put in quotes here. Non-traditional means I don't know what the fuck to say after the first two sentences of explaining karma, right? Because this same shit gets repeated a million fucking times for every other thing. That's how it gets rebranded as a new thing, right? It's just like, oh, well, this is a hot take on an old idea, you know. But in reality, you just heard the video, nobody understood it, even with subtitles, you can't fucking understand it. That was all the gibberish that's in between the actual, like, clear moments of talking about things that folks might know about, such as, like, karma or dogma or reincarnation or things of that nature, which for now we take as, we have the privilege of being like, everybody knows about that. Not everybody did in 1970. Like, let's be fucking real. Like, not everybody fucking did. That was some hip, new, crazy shit where it's just like, my older sister was a really cool hippie. I finally got out of the house, and it's like, I'm just getting exposed to this cool shit that I've always looked up to. Like, we have to look at these generational transitions and realize that they were affecting folks at that time. And they were like, I finally get to see NSYNC, but shit, they quit. Like, this is their thing. So, is non-traditional, which read as, I think I know what it means, and if I make anything up, I meant to do that. Like the beginning of the book. Basically, the belief is your reincarnated self is alive throughout all of time right now. Because time doesn't exist, and your consciousness is actively choosing your consciousness, which is everywhere, all at once, right? You know what I'm saying? It's anywhere in time. Where is it? Behind you. It's in front of you. Oh my God, it's inside of Jane. Nobody knows. Your consciousness, if you're sitting there and you're saying like, I was Cleopatra. Well, you're also currently Cleopatra. And Cleopatra is living right now because time doesn't exist. But she's also you, right? So all happening all at the same time, because time is totally a mental construct that apparently is the one fucking thing that we can't decide doesn't exist out of everything. And here's the biggest point. Your consciousness, which is just kind of this, like, I guess the boss of your physical existence and experience across all of these spontaneous, simultaneous things that are happening, your consciousness is actively fucking choosing to enact a bunch of different experiences at once, almost like going into the fucking Best Buy or some shit and there's 30 TVs that are fucking on, and they all have different channels on, right? That's your consciousness. It's watching all of them at once and experiencing everything at once. So if you're born rich, famous, and wealthy, right, again, because you create your reality, because your consciousness chose to do some shit, then it was your choice to be born rich, famous, beautiful, no medical problems, the perfect body, everything in the world, you're completely set up. And it was also your choice to be a 14-year-old dragged into a concentration camp in Nazi Germany and live there for a handful of years, get the shit beaten out of you, barely fucking survive if you're fucking lucky, or just watch a lot of horrible things and then fucking die. Dude, it was their consciousness choice. Like, that's just the path they're on. See, now we get to the harsh side of the extreme views, which is suffering in the world is done by choice. And when it's not the actual individual, in the case of, like, say, like a concentration camp, when it's something external, they make their reality. They manifested this. This group of people chose to be in this place at this time. I shouldn't feel bad I'm in a better position because I chose this. And I should respect the fact that they're still in school. Why would a 6th grader go into a 3rd grade's classroom and be like, no, that's not how you answer this. You need to learn. No. They need to go on their own path of education. See, this becomes incredibly fucking problematic. Like, on a societal level, this becomes problematic. And, like, case in fucking point, one of the major regions that she stole a lot of shit from, especially when it comes to reincarnation and karma, is India, which has a notoriously toxic, which still fucks with them today, caste system. It is horribly toxic. So even with being one of the oldest civilizations, contiguous civilizations on the planet, still struggles with issues in society from a caste system. Thousands and thousands of years, like go back BC and then thousands of years on top of that, they still struggle with it, with their versions of theologians and experts and like their politics and like the whole society being 100% educated and aware and raised in it. They still got a fucking problem with that belief. She just went through and was like, yeah, karma, reincarnation. Yeah, so basically everybody chooses, right, more or less. And like we all kind of got to go through, and consciousness is just learn. That bullshit is really fucking dangerous. Like, because it's dangerous even when societies have decided to keep that and not weed it out as a viewpoint. Like, thankfully, we live in a day and age where it's just like the differences between sexes, the differences between nationalities and races and stuff like that. It is at least, while there might be one foot kicking, another foot's trying to stomp it out, at least we're having that point. Shit did used to be a lot more blatant and bad in a lot of ways. So it's like, we're working away from that. And hopefully in 1,000 years, people are like, I can't even understand that concept of racism or sexism, right? India's had this strong, like Hindu, like driven like belief or like belief within Hindu of karma and reincarnation. They haven't let go of it, and it's a huge fucking issue. This bitch fucking introduced that to a bunch of people in an even more toxic way. Because now you also, on top of everything where it's just like, I'm starting to doubt my own beliefs about maybe they're not choosing that. They really seem like they want to leave. Now they can go back to, yeah, but they're living at the same time in a better situation. So it's okay. Like, it seriously excuses so many things the closer you get to the extremes of this.
Yeah, I can see why, and this is a weird thing to say, I can see why so many people got into this. And even at the end of it, with that knowledge that you opened up kind of right there, I can still see why people believe it or want to still be part of it and want to still learn, because there's like, you can see the two sides of this, right? So I can see this being huge in Hollywood. And just like,
I could see it being huge
people
in the situation Kristen outlined about the chaos and the turmoil that was also taking place at this exact same time.
Like, people
100%
can say, I
Yeah.
well, I chose this. This is like, but and they chose what
Step
they
over the
chose.
houseless person.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and that's a huge problem, because what you're saying too is like, now that's adding to the point. Why would I try to help them?
Yeah. Hey,
You know,
but
why
you know what?
why would I
if
do
you
that?
really meant that, you would manifest it.
Yeah, you would manifest it. Why would I try to help
You'd
them?
believe
So
in it.
now
That's
there's
what
no
I did.
goodwill towards people. Like you're saying, there's no goodwill towards trying to help anybody else out because they chose it. And then the people at the bottom, the other side of it, would just be saying, well, I chose this and I did this to myself, so I need to live like this. And maybe in another life, I'll choose better. I'll choose another life, and instead of them having India caste system is like the perfect thing about this, because like they can't marry above their caste. They can't move above their caste. So it's like they're stuck in this lot.
There's
and that's the
issues
same
with
idea.
jobs.
Jobs, yeah.
Politics, like it's so many fucking weird areas, but yeah.
Yeah. And so like that dilutes this area of like somebody being like, oh, I have a abundance. So
yeah,
let me use that abundance to help somebody else that doesn't have abundance. And that wholly takes away that whole idea. So now there is no helping anybody else. It's like, no, they chose it. That's on them. And it creates this, again, this self-centered person. It's not about anybody else. It's about me. And I am going to do what's best for me. Yeah, your universe.
God so jealous of you. Time dies, but you don't. Like, literally, that's what it fucking does.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you, hey, all of your fucking concerns about the world, all of your fears, anything that makes you feel bad, any like bad vibes, bro, any bad vibes, like
Californian now.
yeah, but like any like, it's just like I don't watch the news, I don't watch politics, like it makes me feel bad. Well, like so many fucking things, like in terms of like trends and bullshit. This piece of shit sparked. I'm sorry, but she's a fucking asshole. Like, this is bullshit. Like, she knew what she did. She was teaching fucking classes on this shit. And a lot of the fan websites say, then they started getting into it. No! Like, if you read the fucking book, it literally says, and I was doing it. Like, it doesn't say that at the beginning. It says it, like, probably at a point where most folks' eyes glaze over. I took breaks. It's important to take breaks. But there's parts where it's just like, and then I started introducing Seth to the classes, or to the ESB classes I had been teaching before the book was being written. Like, she admits it. She doesn't outright say it, but in all fairness, she doesn't outright say shit. Like, nothing. So, like, this is a consistent thing. But yeah, she manipulated the fuck out of a lot of these things. She might have also been fucking crazy. She might have been getting higher on her own supply. I don't fucking know. I have no clue. But across the board, not just with karma or with reincarnation, weird fucking view on that. Like, it gets into, like, you literally, like, and I mean literally, create the universe. It goes into, like, the Matrix kind of, like, bullshit, where it's just like, no, you actually do create the universe. There's a whole thing where Seth is being like, and the thing is like, when you think you're in a bad mood and you don't see the lights in the room change, everybody else sees the lights in the room change, but they don't actually see what's going on inside of your head, but the room does change. And my friends, and he goes into like a weird, like, I'm out in space or whatever the fuck. He's like, my friends, we don't even use words that much. We just know what we're thinking based off of how the environment changes around us. Like, it literally goes into like, no. If you really want a new car, you can manifest it. Like, it goes all of that shit, dude. And it's not the fact that, like, look, every fucking Olympic, I've never heard a major athlete be like, yeah, so sitting there, I was like, gotta kick the fucking winning goal, And they were all like, how do I play sports ball? And I was like, bro, I got you. And so I ran up on the field. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kick the goal. And I just, I was sitting there and I just visualized missing. No athlete has ever said that about anything. Like, I go target shooting all the time, and it's like there is a point to that. But like anything taken to a fucking extreme, it gets dangerous. Where it's just like, all right, you know, like jobs bum me out. They really stress me out. Like I don't like waking up every day. Like it doesn't work with my circadian rhythm and it da-da-da-da-da and like this and that. And my sister was mad yesterday. It wasn't at me and she was totally fine with me, but I would just bum me out. She was mad. And like, I just can't get a job right now. So I'm just going to manifest my bills getting paid. You know, like this is not a thing. Like,
Yeah,
Well,
there's
and
a physical part to it, you know.
Yeah, and
There's a
well, no matter
physical
what people
end.
believe
Go ahead, Kristen.
about that kind of thing, because I think what we're talking, or what I'm talking about, and based on like what she did, she was an example of extreme, like when extreme goes very, very bad, and it gets toxic. And I don't think what was coming out of her mouth was genuine or original thought or anything like inspired by something outside of herself. I don't think it was that. She was pulling from Einstein's theory of relativity and, you know, Indian belief systems and all of the things that came before and pulling them all, cramming them together and blah, and then just automatic writing, vocalizing it out. And once it's out, and then she's got to stick with that. And that's the belief system now. But I will say, like, there's a lot of current day beliefs that I think there are healthy and beautiful things about taking aspects of this stuff, even something like manifestation. Whether you think there's anything to it or not, like I think there's something beautiful about, you know, working towards something, like visualizing something, and then months down the road, okay, yes, I got that fucking job, I got it. You know, I believed in myself. I did the work, like I got it. Like, so like, I mean, I hate that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess I just hate that she did this to so many people in such a toxic friggin' way, because out of these beliefs, like there can be really cool things realized and like just better ways to conduct yourself, better ways to like live your life, I guess. I don't know. There was just something bothering me about that, but I think that was basically it.
No, you're 100% right, and I would encourage folks to, if they're feeling similar, I guess this is what I would say as like as a backing up of my friend Kristen here, right, to that response. Is the point behind all of this whole episode and everything about it is like, don't focus on New Age, focus on what New Age stole it from, right? Because other cultures, other beliefs, other practices all over the world had similar, more healthy, at least like society could fucking function-ish, aspects of these types of beliefs. It might have called them different things. It might have been here and there. You know, it was cherry-picked. So you're not wrong in the sense that, like, you're not wrong at all, or you shouldn't feel bad at all in, like, feeling comfortable with or holding the beliefs or wanting to hold those beliefs, right? Because so many different cultures and religions all around the world throughout time have also held aspects of it.
Sure.
It's how the ingredients were mixed.
Right.
That was more quickly toxic. Right. It was like way. It was kind of like you can eat an apple and eat the apple seeds, you'll be fine. But if I ground up a shit ton of apples and you ate them, you would die of arsenic poison. You know, it's like don't, just be careful, dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And the danger was, you know, it's the is it the Hunning-Kruger effect? Oh fuck, that it's the something Kruger effect, but it's basically this bell curve of like knowledge where it's just like you acknowledge that you don't know fucking shit about a subject or a topic.
Dunning-Kruger.
You start to Dunning-Kruger, thank you, yeah. And then there's a weird thing that happens. You learn just enough to quite literally be dangerous. You're like, I understand. Why do these experts say that, 30 years, I'm going to come in and I'm going to revolutionize this. Yeah. And these fools don't understand what the fuck's coming. And then there's a peak. It's like a very silent peak. Nobody fucking owns up to it about like, damn, I was a fucking idiot. And they drop down and you find on the other end of the expert list or the other end of the effect, right? They're like, we don't know anything about anything. You know, that's just, it doesn't pick a fucking field, or it's everyone says the same shit when they get across it. She got to the very highest point over and over, like habitually across a lot of different things, and was voracious about it. And she was up in like the New England, New York area and shit. So she had access to this when a lot of folks that were coming from non-central locations, again, This is the 1970s. You had to go to a big city to find anything that wasn't a fucking Bible in your bookstore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was that's where you found culture as a youth. She became a center of that shit. She was in the right place at the right time, but she also made shit up to connect the dots in a very it's dangerous as fuck to do that. It's just dangerous to do that.
Agreed.
You know, it's like, I know how to fix that on your car, and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we could just use a zip tie, and you're like, why are my brakes working? Like, you should not make shit up like that. If she just dabbled around and tested shit until she found some comfortable personal belief system, fucking cool, man. I hope everybody gets to do that. Don't preach it like it's literal gospel coming from an eternal, ethereal entity that has been alive 4 million times, and like actually enforce this shit, because then you get the shit today where like I have met those folks that are just straight up like I don't want to focus on the politics because like at the end of the day, you know, like I know it's really sad what's going on in Gaza, but like that's how they're learning their lesson in life right now. Like I've got to learn mine right now. Yeah. And I'm just like, what? And they're like, anyways, I mean, I get my dad bought it for me, but like, honestly, I had been thinking about it, you know, and I really feel like I manifested that, you know, and it's just, dude, that is bad.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's a bad
totally
mentality.
agreed. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
That's a good way to
empathy
put it.
leaves.
Yeah.
But I mean, empathy leaves people because now they, as I was saying earlier, now you're not thinking about anyone else but yourself. And like we said earlier, like there's nothing completely wrong with trying to be positive, trying to be manifest an idea, manifest something into your life, because like it's a whole lot easier to find something being positive about something than it is being negative about things, right? So, and I'm not saying, you know, some people have intrusive negative thoughts, and you know, we all do, you know, it sucks. And we go through that, and like one of the positive thoughts that I've had is like, there's a dogma. Why isn't there a catma, you know?
I love
I literally
that
went
thought
through all
for
that
you,
just to
Joey.
shoehorn that
I
joke
love
in
it.
there.
Joey was in the background just fucking
making notes, scribbling it
he
out.
just started off, the paper turned landscape, like turned sideways. Way at the bottom right corner, he wrote the word cat. And he's like, how do I get here? And then he's like, what would James
I was
Seth
thinking while
do?
you guys were talking.
What would Rupert do?
Yeah. I was thinking, how would Seth connect these dots into this horrible idea to bring in this joke? And that's what I feel like I bring to this. That's the positivity and manifestation that I bring to these episodes.
Make shit up all the way there.
Yeah, and I drag you guys with me into these depths.
Point A, point B, but
I
then
hope that
you make point B become point A. Fuck that.
Exactly.
I'm nobody's point B.
Yep.
Totally. We will support you all the way there.
And if anybody's worried about the after death thing, you know, not that you can die when there's no time, but if you will die, but not you won't, but you will. Seth says, whatever the fuck you believe happens after death is what you experience after death for a period of time. And then he didn't know.
He didn't have any more after that?
Oh, because he didn't die. He wasn't dead. I'll read the intro to the book, and that'll be the last fucking thing that I'm quoting on him. Sorry. What were you going to say?
I will say that there is a quote, though, in the audio that I was listening to about this, because beforehand I listened to a bit about the soul. You are not gifted a soul.
Huh?
You already have a soul. So it kind of goes along with there's no time idea behind it. Is the soul is you, basically. And that's kind of how I also apply to you're your own God kind of thing, is that in like this meat suit that is us, I guess, you know, our bodies.
Some have Armani.
As some people say, we're in a meat suit. Yeah. Armani suit. Or a Bentley car suit, you know, is your, yep, exactly. Is that there's no soul gifted to you, but you are that soul. So like, that's how they add in that you can just literally go to any time because your soul is just everywhere at once. And so there is no physical there is a physical version of you in every single place and time, and that you can inhabit that physical person anytime you want by just thinking about it. And there are TV shows that have that idea too. I think one of them was The OA. It's on Netflix too. It's the idea you can just move into the physical different realities of you in different multiple universes. But that's kind of the thing I feel like is they're trying to interpret, is that you can just go anywhere by thinking about it. And in an imagination, you can. In your imagination, you can imagine yourself anywhere. But I think there is a personal reality that we're all in, that we live. Just in my
that's your fault.
being.
That's
and
your
my
fault.
thought. I feel like there is.
That's your fault.
That's true. That's true. Because I can't picture
You don't
myself
know.
outside of this life I'm leading.
Unless
And I
you're
guess
only
that's where I need to
aware
listen
of
to
you
more.
in this life until you've actually shifted your focus.
Seth said
I
that
know.
too.
Until you've actually shifted your focus to another one of yous. At first, I thought you were talking about multi-world theory, but then I was like, no, you're literally talking about you can just like experience whichever incarnation as soon as you shift your focus, right?
You think?
Okay. Yeah, that's strange.
You are your consciousness looking at a giant wall of TVs that have different things playing. Why are you staring at the sad one?
How do we know we're not shifting our focus constantly? How do we know we're awake and not asleep? I don't know. How do you know?
Girl, I've got like clinically severe ADHD. I am shifting my focus constantly. Do you realize that if this was an actual thing, how many times I would be... I'd just be gone, like somewhere else, where I'm just like, oh wow, a fish. Like, this actually, thank you. Thank you so much. That you just made me realize how much bullshit all this. I mean, I already knew, but now there's like another truck dumping it. People with ADHD. If any of this was true, bruh, like, Jesus Christ, could you imagine what's going on in the world if folks with ADHD were able to just change everything the fuck around them and disappear whenever they wanted?
Man, that would be wild.
Like, I've left 9 times during this podcast, 3 times physically. So I'm just saying.
Yep, counted.
But
3.
I want to end, if that's okay, with the start of the book, chapter 1, because immediately I smirked and I was like, Joey, you dog, you got into my PDF reader, went back in time with your other consciousness. You were Robert F. Butts. I know what I know what's going on. No. Beginning of this, because the one topic that didn't get brought up that gets addressed immediately, because it was their most important thing. My alter ego is Joseph Robert F. Butts, because he was called Joseph by Seth. Anyways,
yep.
He starts off with the clearest thing, like, hey, don't call me a demon, don't call me this, don't call me that. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, what the fuck is he? Yeah. He's a 17-word long explanation that basically we already have words for. Quote, chapter 1. I do not have a physical body, yet I am writing this book. You have heard of ghost hunters. Oh shit! I didn't read it in her voice, which is I'll read it both ways. I'll read it the way the audiobook did, and then I'll read the way that Robert had to hear it. Also, they lived in an apartment during all of this, and I'm so scared for their
worst neighbors ever.
Imagine being the neighbor.
I don't know what they were doing over there.
Neighbor. Yeah. Some weird relationship.
I believe that everybody should love who they want and, you know what I'm saying, procreate with who they want. But I think things are getting out of hand at our neighbor's house upstairs.
Called the police on them because I feel like they chained a person named Seth into their room.
I think they've got a Southern Baptist preacher who just came back from Jamaica. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know.
I like how you made them Canadian.
Close enough to the border.
Their neighbor's Canadian. Well, to be fair, for someone that wouldn't interfere in this 7-year,
Canadian.
maybe more, like, odyssey, they were probably
Canadian.
Canadians that were just like, we'll just let them be.
Yeah, or from Minnesota. Super nice folks.
Minnesota. You know.
You've heard of ghost hunters. I can quite literally be called a ghost writer, though I do not approve of the term ghost. It is true that I am usually not seen in physical terms. I do not like the word spirit either. And yet, if your definition of that word implies the idea of a personality without a physical body, then I would have to agree that that does describe me. That description fits me. I address an unseen audience, however. I know that my readers exist, and therefore I shall ask each of them now to grant me the same privilege. Now, as it was actually said, Chapter 1, I don't have a physical boy. Yeah. I am writing up this book. Now, I'm not going to read the whole fucking thing like that. But that was, could you imagine, like, tens of thousands of pages and it was cited.
I'm surprised he didn't go crazy.
Clearly he did, because he kept, I know.
Yeah,
He was such a
really
soft
was.
ass. Yeah, Robert Butts. Yeah, there's a million points to get made, everybody, in the book about da-da-da-da-da and all this other shit. It's trash. It's fucking trash. Go listen to her speak for herself. Jane Roberts. Yeah,
Seth Speaks.
go listen. Also, if you want to find Seth Speaks, actually, what is it? I have it written down here. Yes. So just a fucking heads up. The Seth Learning Center is still active and thriving, with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people daily going to the website, buying the loads of books, even though both Robert Butts / Joseph and Jane / Rupert's / Seth's telephone here are gone. That's still active and thriving. I have no idea who the fuck's running it. They're still taking your money. They're still trying to do shit. And if you go to any YouTube video, tens of thousands of comments, which are split into 3 things. Sorry, Joey, I know you're going to say something. 3 things. They're split into hardcore believers who had their lives completely changed for the better, and honestly, based off of how they kind of replied to people that were knocking them and shit, actually sound like decent human beings that are trying to be good folks. I ain't got no fucking problems with you, right? That's cool. That's cool. Good on you. I'm happy. Shit works out. That's all we can ask for before we die, right? The second group of folks, this is the fucking most ridiculous shit I've ever seen / funniest shit in history. And the third group of folks, all 3 groups are passionate. That Ouija board introduced a demon, and this has been used to pull everybody away from Christ and the church. You were possessed. Everybody run from these sins. Every fucking comment meets one of those 3 things. It's an equal split. I checked. I might hop in there just to fuck up the percentage and be like, just leave that. So if you see a video that just says, it's my Black Cat Report. But
I will say, this was a good one. I appreciate you bringing me on for this one. This was a good one for me. I realized very quickly on, because I am not friendly to the physical medium. I'm really not friendly to the trance medium. I have yet to see really outstanding proof, and I'm pretty open-minded to a lot of things. But yeah, the episode I did on them traumatized me, man. So this was a good one to jump in with you guys, and I appreciate that. Going through the material, I mean, Gil is not lying, y'all. Like, it's listen to the tape. One I saw was on YouTube. Listen to it. Read the book. It's exactly as he portrayed it to be. It's pretty unlistenable. It's pretty awful. You will be lost, and you're not the only one. But I will say, like, in this instance, shoot the messenger, not necessarily the message, because I think there's some good things still to be gleaned in the information, even though she, Rupert, Jane, whoever, just totally botched it and took things that she shouldn't have taken and ran with them. And for you guys, Ramtha next week? Ramtha? They're giving me questioning looks. It's a yes. Okay. That's all I got.
Sure. You want to tell everybody also where your podcast and where you can be found, because you have a podcast, a wonderful, amazing podcast that we all really love. And Gil is actually showing the shirt again.
I like that shirt.
So,
thank you, guys. Yes, you can hear the Paranormal Girl podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also catch me on a video version on YouTube. And subscribe while you're over there. And you can also follow me on socials and get updates and all that kind of fun stuff at Paranormal Girl Pod on any of the socials.
Yeah, we also, 3 of us, well, our 4th member is not here at the moment, but the 3 of us are on a podcast together called Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen, which you can follow us on the socials as well as on YouTube. You can find us anywhere, but Gil is giving me questioning looks for some reason.
I've been told by Seth I have an honest expression on my face. I was that wasn't towards you, that was towards my ADHD, because for whatever reason, unless it works magically right now, it did. It fucking did.
There it is. It's Seth.
If
willed
Seth willed it, it will be. If Seth willed it, it will be.
We would like to thank our Patreon listeners, our YouTube listeners, our YouTube watchers, and especially a big thanks to one of our new watchers/listeners, Cosmic Vagabond Pixie, for commenting through our whole episode on everything going on. And sorry if I didn't keep up enough. I, Joey, was trying to keep up on YouTube comments with you. We really appreciate it. So this is one of our favorite things to do. Kristen, you were the best. Thank you so much for coming on with us and doing this awesome, fun episode that we kind of didn't, Gil did his probably, I would say, like 0.05% of his normal research on this topic. So we not sure when our next episode will be. We're kind of working through it. I'm hoping we can start getting back on a normal weekly cadence, and we will do our best to get there. Mentally there.
We'll be there. We'll be there soon. We do have an episode that was recorded 2 days, 2-ish days, 3 days maybe before the hurricane and shit here. That I was editing the night when the power and the internet and shit went out, and I was like, well, closing my laptop, going to bed. So I got to get back in that routine, because I did that thing that I always do that I really shouldn't do. I guess I just haven't manifested changing it yet. Which is, I didn't write the 2-part series together at one time. So now all this shit's happened between recording and writing the first, and having to write the second part and record it. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. So there's going to be an episode. It's a fucking fantastic episode, which I literally spent a month and a half on. I'm excited about it. That'll be coming out. The episode number will be wrong. I think you'll still like it. I'll listen. Yeah. Other than that, well, we got shit in the works. And if you've made it this far, you're cool as fuck. And here is our open bounty. Here's our open fucking request. If you know anybody that got into or believed or started to believe any of the Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee hurricane conspiracy theories, rumors, let's just say alt news stories around things, that's what we want an upcoming episode to be, because we're able to give on the ground information from what we actually literally saw, and we want to respect the fact that the news lies to us, but doesn't mean that the response is telling the truth. That's all I gotta say.
Yep. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. And if we all want to say one final goodbye for the week,
reeling it in.
Ready?
We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.